right? And when you look at those defenses that went up against, Washington, the Niners, like they looked lost against the West Coast offense. And then they just couldn't, I don't think they had the speed defensively to keep up with that Redskins team, that had Doug Williams playing in the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And let's face it, Williams on a line could throw it 80 yards. Like he
Yes.
had a phenomenally strong arm. And you had guys like Art Monk catching the football who he was a black hole. If you put the ball anywhere near him, he's going to come down with it. And then, Mitchell had the game of his life in that Super Bowl running for like 230. When I think that's all he had.
He never did it again.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever played it down again as a starter. Yeah.
No, I think you're right, but like
problem, sadly. He had a cocaine problem.
But it's Denver was the kryptonite to Cleveland, but then the NFC was just the Broncos.
Dude, that Redskin team, Doug Williams, look. My only other Bronco best friend, I tell this story all the time, as a guy I got in a fight with in high school. He's also a Bronco fan. Another person of a chocolate hue.
Oh, just a fine piece of Godiva.
And we are both diehard fans. We would go to San Diego to watch games back in the day because it's very safe there to watch games in San Diego.
And yeah, San Diego fans are pretty passive. Like I saw the Guardians play there, and like right when their new stadium opened, when Petco opened, and I was like, man, nice new digs. And San Diego fans were just like so nice. Like
it's a nicer city. It's like I want to go to LA, but I don't want to deal with all the pizzazz or the traffic.
Oh, dude, I hit Jason. I hit Chavez Ravine once. I went to Dodger Stadium one time, and I was like, I will never go back.
You learned a lesson, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. A hard one, considering that the drive there was like 2.5 hours, and we went a grand total of like 21 miles. And then leaving Chavez Ravine, it got to the point where I was like, dude, just get to an exit and let's go to a bar.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's but what I wanted to say was, my friend is like, kind of like Pascal, black fraternity guy, blackety black dude. But if you talk about that Super Bowl, the 88 Super Bowl, and Doug Williams, we both become Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks. I can't stand that big nose nigger throwing that white man's football around. Give it to Jay Schrader, you big nose, big lip coon.
Look to your left. If there's a black man sitting next to you, ball up your fist and punch the black out of him.
Like the amount of racist hate that pumps through my soul whenever I put on a Klan hood, like, lynch them all.
You turn into the Chappelle Show skit. Let Doug Williams burn white power.
Jay Schrader should have played white power. If Virtuoso says, what the fuck? I'm telling you, you could be, his name is Brandon, and you could be next to me and Brandon, and we'll be having this great blackety black conversation and talking about all the achievements of Negroes and the history of niggerdom. But if you bring up Doug Williams' funky ass,
you guys are just having a conversation at like a bar, and someone, you hear the 88 Super Bowl, you both just like, bitch, I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't want to know you, but fuck Doug Williams. Okay.
You kin to Doug Williams, huh? Fuck your daddy.
I mean, the thing is, people don't realize he came out of Grambling and went to Houston in the USFL. He followed Jim Kelly when Kelly decided he was gonna bail. Had some phenomenal years there. And he's like, dude, look at the numbers Kelly was putting up in the USFL. I can do that. And then when one or two things happens, the league folds or it merges. with the NFL. I'm gonna get, I'm gonna get a big money deal, right? Well, dude, you're a black quarterback in Houston in the 80s. What do you think he had to deal with?
Well, let's remember that Doug Williams just doesn't go there first. He goes to the NFL first.
Yeah.
And he goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe he was the quarterback during their first winning season. And then he takes them to the NFC Championship game. The only players I can name from that team is Leroy Selman and Doug Williams.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, Doug Williams was one of the best quarterbacks to never get a fair shot because of an old regime that was just too racist to see the forest for the trees. Now I think younger people that don't remember that era also think black people never played quarterback. That is not true, because there was just too much talent generally coming out of the West Coast where black guys could not just play quarterback in a wishbone system, but play and actually throw the ball around. But you were given a much shorter leash, and cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and dude, the sad thing is, I mean, we talked about Warren Moon how often on this show. We probably give him more play than any other sports
at his
show.
Own house.
Yeah. His wife doesn't even refer to him as often as we do. But like, he went and plied his trade in Canada and had a phenomenal career in the CFL. And honestly, that was probably the best thing for him, because this was a dude who could huck it, chuck it football. And that's not the way the NFL was yet,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Canadian game is predicated on. You got to think, in an 18-game season, the CFL rushing leader has anywhere between 800 and 1,000 yards.
Yeah. Even on a larger field. It's just it's not very convenient. Yeah.
When you have to get 15 yards for a first down, you got to do it. You got to throw the ball. But yeah, I mean, Doug Williams didn't get a fair shot. I mean, because he was black. Flutie didn't get a fair shot because he was short.
Yeah. There's tons of guys. Jeff, I was just about to say Jeff Blake, Sith Lord Prince. Jeff Blake didn't get a fair shot. By the time he finally gets a fair shot, the Bengals are relevant again. Aaron Brooks gets a fair shot. The Saints are relevant again. I think after Cam Newton went number one, for me, that's when I said everything's different now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because he didn't go number one like Rodney Pete and like, who's the other black guy? Andre Ware. Those guys put up Rodney Pete had put up pretty good numbers in that era, but Andre Ware was putting up those astronomical numbers at University of Houston when they were just, beating all that kind of mid-level competition and just chucking it all over the place.
Yeah.
But again, short leashes for these guys. The media at the time is still very racist of an old regime. And by the time we get to Cam Newton, who doesn't really put up the passing numbers that you think you need to see, but I was so shocked his first year in Carolina of the crazy rookie season he had.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to think too, he wasn't really, the way the offense rolled in both Florida and Auburn. It was, a lot, it was a lot of that read option. So having him run the ball was a vital part of how to make those offenses work. So you got to think Auburn, that team had Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown, right? So it was still very run dependent. It was still a very run heavy offense. But then you had Cam, who was able just to, sneeze and the ball goes 80 yards.
I told you I stood next to him at Coachella one year and I didn't know I was next to him.
Yeah, it's because the shadow from his hat.
Somebody said, there's a picture of it somewhere. Someone said, we took a picture of you next to Cam Newton because he was behind me. And I was like, oh, you mean that building?
Yeah.
I thought I was next to that we built all these artificial little buildings for it was a VIP section I was in. I was like, oh, that was a man? Cam Newton was this physical freak of nature, but also I think he adapted to the quarterback position. Sadly, got injured by the time Christian McCaffrey gets in there. We don't really get to see peak Cam Newton. But RG3 is the same way. I think he comes out the next year with Andrew Luck, and I was really excited for this moment. And even before these guys come, there's the Byron Leftwiches of the world and the David Garrards who went in like the second or third round, but still, there's no more fear of drafting a black quarterback and expecting him to be Michael Vick, where you have to kind of be this everything Swiss Army knife kind of guy that you can put in all these different positions. You can just have a black quarterback that may be a mediocre runner, and you're okay with that because he's a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it. It's sad that it took so long to figure that shit out, and I think we're doing it backwards now, where for years and years you wouldn't see a white running back, and you're starting to see him again, right? And I think a lot of that had to do with Christian McCaffrey, like just being Christian McCaffrey. And now all these GMs are like, fuck, we can draft these guys out of North Dakota, and it's not really going to look bad.
We can't forget the other big reason. They're getting the training.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey is of an athletic pedigree, and this kid has the training. So we're going to see more white defensive backs, white running backs. We're already seeing white wide receivers that aren't possession guys.
Yeah.
Right. Remember, Christian's dad is kind of a possession guy, kind of.
He was a possession guy only insofar because they had
Rod Smith.
You had Rod Smith there that was kind of like the deep burner threat. And you also had Sharp playing tight end who they'd split out at wide. So yeah, he immediately becomes like this possession dude that's 6'3" and runs.
But he wasn't. He was the burner.
Yeah.
That's the joke. Like, people don't understand. It's like, no. You're assuming that. But I think these games are changing. We talk about this all the time on the show because, these guys have money and there's an athletic class like we see in soccer, and we're now seeing it in football. Parents are less afraid to let their kids play because there's that moment where people are like, I don't want, after all the CTE stuff comes out, I don't want kids to play football. I don't want kids to play football. Christian McCaffrey, he's smiling on the cover of everything. He's not that big of a guy. I think he's what, 5'10"?
Yeah, 5'10", like 215.
He's solid as a son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that whole family is. It's just
solid as a son of a bitch.
I wonder if Ed sits at home and he's like, we had 3 sons that played college football and only one of them was worth a shit.